For most of my childhood, I was emotionally numb. I literally didn't cry for 10 years. But finally, things started to change. And so let me tell you what happened. I'm 7 years old. I'm living in the UK. And it's the weekend. And I'm sitting in the living room with my brother. We're watching TV, we're watching Scooby-Doo. So it's just another normal weekend, another day. Just watching TV, hanging out. And my parents walk in the room. My parents walk into the living room and they come up to my brother and I and they tell us, they say, we're getting a divorce. And so I don't really know what that means. I'm 7 years old, I don't really know what's going on. But in that moment, in that instant, there's a switch, there's a change, an instant change for me. It's like a light switch just flicked, and the brightness and vividness in my world just disappeared and everything got dark. And so fast forward now a few weeks into the future, and I'm looking out the window at home and I see a big moving truck pull up. And my brother and I are moving to Canada with our mom. And we find out that we won't be seeing our dad that much. And so fast forward now, a few weeks later, and we're on the plane, moving to Canada. And I'm playing with my Pokemon cards there on the plane. I still don't really know what's going on. But I know my brother is sad and angry. I know my mom is sad and angry. And I know that my dad's not there with us. And so even though I don't really know what's going on, there's this deep emotional pain I remember feeling. A deep sadness that was with me. And so moving to a new country, away from all of my friends, my house, the place I called home, moving to a new country, a new school, new people, without my dad. It was all just too much for me. I was just a little 7-year-old guy, little 7-year-old kid. And so I went numb. Maybe you've heard of the idea of fight, flight, or freeze. I only really had one option in this traumatic situation. And it was to freeze and go numb. Because everything was just too much to handle. Too emotional. And so that's what I did. I just froze and numbed out. Because it was my only option. And so I numbed out with social media, video games, adult content. I stopped feeling. I stopped feeling happy. I stopped feeling sad. I just stopped feeling everything. I literally didn't cry for 10 years. And I remember about a year after the divorce, I started telling my mom that I was depressed. And I was 8 years old when I was telling her this. 8 years old. And so imagine the natural range of human emotions it's like this, right? It's pretty wide. And you've got the midline here, but I was only feeling this little tiny range of emotion. I basically felt nothing. I remember just feeling like a zombie. Like I was dead, essentially. Because I could not feel anything. There's huge chunks of that time, of my childhood, that I just cannot remember because I was so numb. And so for years I stayed in this numb state. But around the time I was 17, 10 years later, 10 years after the divorce, things started to change. My grandfather passed away. And something shifted. Something changed at that time. I don't know what it was, but something definitely shifted. And around the same time, I discovered self-improvement. And so I started watching self-improvement videos, started reading self-improvement books, and that really helped. That really helped me. But the biggest catalyst for this shift, this emotional shift, was the first girl I dated when I was 17 years old. And even though we only dated for a couple weeks, it changed everything. It's like our relationship, it showed me what I could feel, what I could be feeling. It essentially opened up the floodgates to my emotions because she showed me what I could be feeling. And I remember the day after our first date, I remember just going down to the beach and crying. I just cried for the first time in 10 years. Just because there was so much emotion there. So much stuff that I had to let go of. And so after that first date, I cried. I cried pretty much every day. For the next year, at least. Sometimes multiple times a day. Now I cry from time to time. But it's like that relationship just showed me what I could be feeling. And what I could be releasing. And so slowly I started to come out of that numbness. I started to escape from that frozen state. Because of these shifts, because I was able to feel what I needed to release, to feel what I needed to let go of. And this was a long process. There's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of stuff that I was holding on to. 10 years of not crying. 10 years of just stuffing the emotions down. A huge, huge backlog of emotions I had to process and let go of. And so crying every day, it really helped. That was the biggest thing that helped me escape from that numbness. And at first it was scary to cry. It didn't feel safe because it hadn't really been safe since the divorce. But thankfully my mom was in a different place around this time, and she was able to support me. And so slowly, I started releasing that sadness. I started processing that backlog of grief. And at first I felt pretty vulnerable, pretty exposed. It's sort of raw and exposed to the world. It's like there wasn't any protection. There wasn't that numbness, the comfort of that emotional numbness to protect me, to keep me safe. Because if I didn't feel my emotions, there was nothing that could hurt me. But it was time to start feeling them again. Start actually living. So slowly, I started to feel again. I started to feel happy again. I started to feel sad again. I started to feel angry. I just started to feel again. And my emotions went from here to here. I was able to feel that whole range of emotions. And it took time. I'm still working on this. There's still stuff that needs to be released. Still emotions that I need to get comfortable with, but I'm feeling just way, way better because of all the crying I did and all the processing of this grief and this backlog. And so it's sad that crying has such a stigma in our society. Crying is seen as this thing that makes you weak. But despite this, it's one of the most powerful things we can do in our healing journey. And so, I'm giving you permission. I'm giving you permission now to cry. Cry if you need to, especially if you're a guy. I know there's a big stigma around that guys shouldn't cry. But for both men and women, it's unhealthy to suppress your natural emotions like this, to suppress your sadness. So just go ahead and cry. Cry when you need to. Release what you need to release. It's safe to cry. It's safe to feel these emotions. And listen to sad music. Listen to some sad songs if you need to. Or watch a sad movie if you need some help getting going. I know it was pretty scary for me at first, but listening to music, listening to sad songs gave me that little extra nudge I needed to just let go of things. So just go ahead and cry when you need to. There's no need to suppress these emotions anymore. There's no need to hold on to these feelings that don't serve you. So cry when you need to. And remember, in every moment, always choose love.